does not mean it will affect my execution of this duty today.
Okay. And any other member with interest? And then as you introduce yourself, you can declare whether you have any interest with the nominee. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Chair. My name is Vincent Korir. I represent the great people of Londiani. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Anita.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Aranita Mibei, representing the people of Chemoso. Karibu sana.
Asante.
Thank you, Chair.
My name is Dominic Mutai, Kabianga Ward. Karibu, Engineer. Thank you.
Yeah, there is one member who is outside, sitting on my far right. When you see him around, his name is the Honorable Anthony Ruta.
Okay.
And he represents the people of Kipngetich Ward. Eric, as I have briefly introduced, I almost forgot the Secretariat. Please introduce yourself to the nominee, please.
Good morning. I'm Sharon Mibe, Deputy Clerk in charge of Legislative Services.
Good morning. I'm David Thiongo, Clerk Assistant.
Good morning. My name is Kipkuri Bernardo, Research Officer.
I'm Patrick Kuri, Reached.
Benson Rowan, Hansat Triple.
Koech Chiriot, Director, Human Resource and Administration.
Kiroi Gilbert, Sergeant at Arms.
Abraham Langat, Deputy Clerk Administration.
All right, that's it. Engineer Koech, so also let me take this opportunity to congratulate you for being nominated. And this committee on appointment is legally constituted as per the Constitution of Kenya, County Government Act of 2012, the Public Appointments County Assembly Approval Act of 2017. And one of the mandate, of course, is to vet the appointments from the executive. And under Article 179(2) of the Constitution, that is the reason why you are here, because you have been nominated as the CECM for Public Works, Roads and Transport. The rules of engagement here is that we intend to be with you for the next 1 hour. But not strictly. We expect you just the same way, honorable members. They shall be precise and brief to the point, and also all questions and answers or any form of engagements shall be addressed through the chairman. And that reminds me that I didn't introduce myself. I'm the chairman of this appointment committee. My name is Dr. Patrick Mutai. So you are welcome. We will be engaging with you, and of course it will be an interactive session, and our main role, as I told you earlier, is to vet you to see whether, or to establish whether you are suitable for the position as per the existing legislations that are in place. Nevertheless, we have some of the criteria, so there will be some questions posed to you as part of the criteria. We hope that you shall not be offended with our assessment form. But I encourage you, as you introduce yourself, please introduce yourself comprehensively, of course, touching on who are you, maybe where you were born, where you come from, your education background, experience, and maybe even link it to the docket that you have been nominated to. You can note them down so that, because you will really assist us so that we can move very forward as part of your introduction. Work experience, employment records, whether government agencies or any private firms, any honors and awards that you have ever been given, if you have any. If you are a member of any professional association, you will also tell us. And maybe if you have also ever held a position in a political party or participated in campaigns previously or even currently, you will also tell us. Please also inform this committee whether you have ever been dismissed or removed from office previously. You will tell us that. And whether you have also participated in charity works, donations to charity, when you can tell us if you have any specific. Touch on, as I mentioned, your educational and training relevant to the position, and whether you have any published writings, you will also tell us. The other thing is whether there is, when shall you be successful in this nomination, you need to declare future potential conflict of interest, maybe matters that touches on your family or any other arrangements. And even if you have no potential conflicts of interest as at now, maybe shall it arise, how will you address it? And maybe also you will tell us whether you have ever been charged in a court of law in the last 3 years. And finally, whether you have ever been mentioned in any investigatory report, maybe of Parliament, County Assembly, or any commission. Of course, the introduction is not limited to what I have just told you. Whatever you feel that the committee on appointment needs to know or to bring to their attention, you are free to do it. So, Engineer Koech, I request you to perhaps introduce yourself and maybe tell us what I have just enumerated, so that we can save on time. And when you are comfortable, you can start. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chair, and the honorable members of this committee. It's not true that I came yesterday, but I came very early in the morning today. Let me take this chance to introduce myself. Chair, my name is Eric Kipngetich Koech. I'm an engineer by profession. I'm greatly privileged and honored to appear before this honorable committee on this momentous occasion. I also want to take this opportunity to really thank the governor for taking the action of nominating me to this position of CC member for public works, roads and transport on behalf of the thousands and millions of Kenyan youths who are watching us today. First of all, I'm 35 years of age, I'm married. My family, in fact, are behind in the gallery. They are watching me. I have one wife and one child. I'm a Kenyan citizen, and I'm a resident of Kericho County. Chair, I come from Sigawit Swin constituency, a ward called Sigawit, as rightly put by Honorable Ragony. I was born and raised in a very small village called Kipngetich. Mr. Chair, I was born and raised into a very humble family. My parents were peasant farmers. They did manual jobs to feed us and school us. I attended my primary school at Kipngetich Primary School from the year 1993, or rather 1994 to 2001. Mr. Chair, I want also to inform this committee that during my primary school days, I got the opportunity to be appointed as the class monitor from class 5 to class 8. This is because I was a very hardworking student and I was also a disciplined person. Mr. Speaker, sir, when I sat for my exams, for my KCPE exams, my dream was to join Starehe Boys High School. My reason was Starehe Boys at that time was one of the best performing national schools. Number two was that Starehe Boys gave scholarships to needy but bright students. This was not to be because I scored 400 marks out of 500. And for you to join Starehe Boys, one had to score 420 marks. I had a dream of becoming a surgeon at that time. So it's like my dreams were almost being shattered. However, the local community and some well-wishers came together and raised funds in Harambee. And I managed to join a neighboring school called Kipngetich, a secondary school, which I also believe Honorable Paul Chichir is an alumni, and he knows the status of the school. Despite all these challenges, I sat for my KCSE exams in the year 2005. And I exceptionally did well. I scored an A-, and I was admitted to join Kenyatta University to pursue a course in Bachelor of Science in Water Engineering. Let me also put it on record that while in my high school days, because of my disciplined nature and determination, I got the opportunity to serve as the class prefect from Form 1 to Form 4. I was also the treasurer of the Seventh-day Adventist Club. Mr. Chair, while I was waiting to join university, I assisted my parents. During those days, there was that interlude before you join university of almost 1.5 years. So I assisted my parents in plucking tea for survival and also to make ends meet. So I joined Kenyatta University from 2007 to 2012, a 5-year period. In the university, I also got the opportunity to serve as the Deputy Organizing Secretary for the students that were coming from Kericho district at that time. I graduated in the year 2012 with a second class upper division. Mr. Speaker, sir, speaking in terms of work experience and employment record, from the year 2019 to 2022, I got the opportunity to serve as the county resident monitor at Water Sector Trust Fund, which is a state corporation in charge of water and sanitation, or they rather finance water and sanitation activities in the whole country. So I was handling projects in Nandi, Bomet, and Kericho counties. Similarly, I had other projects in the Siaya, Homa Bay, Migori, Laikipia, and Isiolo. While working for Water Sector Trust Fund, in my station of Nandi County, I got the opportunity to supervise, manage, and the construction of more than 15 water and sanitation projects. But still in that line of duty, I got the opportunity to interact with the aspects of civil, structural, as well as roads projects. Because in the essence, while you are doing a water project, there is need for connectivity and accessibility. So while I was in Tinderet sub-county, there's a project that we did in Tinderet Forest. And I was part of the team that supervised and managed the construction of an access road of around 10 kilometers. Similarly, we did the construction of office buildings for the water supply projects that we were doing. Additionally, I supervised and managed the construction of sanitation facilities in more than 15 schools. For the information of this committee, the projects that I oversaw in Nandi County were amounting to more than 300 million shillings, and they were all successfully completed. Coming home to Kericho County, there's a project that I supervised, that is the construction of a decentralized wastewater treatment facility at Kapsoit Market. I'm not sure if the honorable member from that ward is aware. There's a decentralized wastewater treatment facility that we did there. While also working for Water Sector Trust Fund, I managed to assist the county government of Nandi County in terms of strategic plans and policy formulation. One aspect that we came up with was the development of a Nandi County Water Master Plan. From the year 2014 to 2019, I was the projects engineer at Kericho Water and Sanitation Company. Let me just highlight one or two projects that I was part of. One was the rehabilitation of Kericho Water Waste Treatment Plant. One aspect of that project was that there was a construction of a perimeter wall around the treatment plant. Number two was the construction of an access road within the treatment plant. Number three, there was a construction of a booster station by Kericho T-Boys. I invite also the committee, when they have time, they can appreciate that fact. This was a project that was being funded by African Development Bank, but it was being undertaken by Lake Victoria Waterworks Development Agency. My other project that I was part of was the rehabilitation of Kericho Water Treatment Plant at Timberlake. So I oversaw the rehabilitation of an access road within that plant. Similarly, I was in charge of the maintenance of a road leading to the intake works at Timberlake, deep in Mau Forest. Chair, I was an intern when I came, or when I rather finished my university education at a local NGO called Sana International in Kisumu, that was in charge of projects in 4 counties. Chair, I'm a member of Engineers Board of Kenya. I have registration number B15088. I don't have any political affiliation. In terms of pro bono activities, I count myself as a child of the world or a child of the universe. It's because of the good heart of the community. That's why I'm speaking before you today. So currently, much as I'm a hustler, I have a boy and a girl that I'm sponsoring at Kamaso called Dennis Kipkirui, and a young girl in Form 2 at Kapkeburu Primary School. So this is an initiative that we started together as a community, and they are doing very well. I also invite the committee, when you have something, you can assist me in educating those very needy students. Mr. Chair, my whole life I've never been dismissed, or I've never been dismissed from any employment. I've never been arrested, and I've never been charged by any investigatory body. I've not done any publications, but I aspire in the coming future to have some publications dealing with the engineering field. Chair, in terms of conflict of interest, I want to declare that I don't foresee any conflict of interest if I'm given this opportunity to serve in this position. But should there arise any conflict of interest, I'll declare to the relevant body, and if so, I will desist and refrain from any deliberations that touches on the subject matter. Thank you, Chair. I believe I've exhaustively touched on those aspects. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Engineer Koech, for the comprehensive introduction. Maybe just a follow-up or clarification. Maybe in the matter to deal with whether you have any honors or awards that you have ever been given. Maybe you can respond to that.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Let me see, maybe, I don't know if maybe certificate of participation in these workshops. So I've attended several workshops that were being undertaken by Water Sector Trust Fund, as well as while I was in the Kericho Water and Sanitation Company.
Okay,
thank you.
Thank you so much. In your CV, we have your CV with us here. You have also indicated the number of referees, and we hope that you can confirm that the contacts in the CVs are up to date.
Yes, Chair.
And do you have any objection if we contact the referees?
Chair, no objection.
Okay, no objection. The other thing is I like the fact that your family, who is your wife, and the other family are in the public gallery. And I want to take this opportunity to welcome them. And I know and I'm sure the reason why they are here is that they are really praying for you. And they must have prayed for you from for a long time. And as you heard our Deputy President, family unity is very important. And he alluded to the fact that all these friends, including the Honorable Rogon, can even leave you one day, but your family will stay put with you. Please, my advice is continue loving your wife and treating him well. We are really praying for you. Should you succeed, we expect that you should treat her. Now that there was a nominee who was with us yesterday, and he promised, should he succeed, he will form a band of music. So I guess, should you succeed too, probably we will join the nominee with your wife and take a dance. So now, Eric, the reason why I'm talking about your family is there is Eng.Erick Koech. I know from your introduction, and I must say that and congratulate you because you are the product of the community, and you have also seen it fit to give back to the community by sponsoring the boy and the girl. And you have also requested the honorable members here that in future, should they also interact with you, please, they can maybe give their contribution, or you mentioned something like that. I promise you that.
Chair,
yes.
In fact, for the two cases he cited, yeah, I've also contributed because through him I got to know the two kids in school, which is the founder, member of the two, charitable activities. Thank you.
Right. And as you can see, and I want to agree that the Honorable Rawan must be your real friend. And of course, count our full support. In fact, after this vetting process, you are privileged. You can see the speaker behind the tent.
Thank you.
And he can, we shall agree on the modalities of how to support those people. And I'll encourage the other members. But that is a good indication of being a true leader, a selfless leader, and I want to commend you about that. So that takes me now back to the question that I wanted to ask you, Engineer Eric Koech. What is your net worth? Having said you are a hustler, we saw the hustler millionaires. I know you are. You know them. Yes. Yes, and I realize that the definition of hustler is relative. You know, there can be a hustler who is a billionaire, and there can be a hustler who is penniless down there. So maybe you can tell us what is your net worth, please.
Thank you, Chair. Before I state my net worth, let me appreciate your fatherly advice, especially on the values of the family values. Thank you very much. Number 2, so before you is a true embodiment of a hustler. Much as I've worked for like 10 years after university, I can state, I'll be very honest with the committee, that my net worth is around 720,000. This is comprising of 2 motorcycles, 2 motorcycles, 1 cow, and a small piece of land. Yes, thank you.
Of course, I know that those are approximate figures. The main reason why we, of course, this forms part of our vetting criteria is, should you be nominated as a government officer or public officer or a state officer, you are expected to declare your wealth. Yes. So should you be nominated, we hope that it shall not deviate so much from what you have told us that you are worth. On the comment about family, I think it's good that you have also complimented us, and particularly one Honorable Cheriot Beth and Paul Chirchir. I hope you have heard the importance of the family unit. And before I open the floor, allow me to engage with you. Or we will give you so that you will. I noticed that the Honorable Cheriot Beth was really smiling when we were talking about the family unit. So very important.
Include me in the dancing classes, Chairman.
Okay.
Me and my wife.
Okay. Thank you so much. Before I open the floor for honorable members, Engineer Eric, I just want to maybe engage with you and just ask you a very general question. Okay. A general question. I hope that you are aware that the docket that you have been nominated to is one of the key dockets in the county government, and should you be successful, you have enormous task. Are you equal to the task?
Yes, Chair. You realize that I've been managing projects across several counties, and to a tune of several millions of money, and I've been able to manage them, and they've been very successful. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I want now to open the floor for honorable members to contribute. Honorable Dominic. Engineer Eric, you can be noting them down so that I will give all the members.
Okay.
Maybe asking maybe it's a form of engagement with you.
Thank you, Chair. Engineer.
Yes, Mheshimiwa.
There is an emotive issue to do with pending bills. What different will you do, and what is your plan on the same? Number 2, the road network is key to the economy of this county. What are your immediate plans in terms of the repair, opening, and main repairs of this road? There is a big issue of our problem mainly in this county is stormwater, and especially in our towns, like the Kipngetich town. The issue, a lot of issue of drainage. I've gone through your documents, and when you're introducing yourself, you have majorly yourself in water. Can you relate the two? with your education background, with the docket you have been given. Thank you, Chair.
Yes, Honorable Anthony Ruta.
Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Koech, Engineer, congratulations.
Thank you
for coming this far. And monitoring and evaluation is a very important component as far as implementation of the projects is concerned. The same is wanting. In the Department of Roads. Projects are given out and nobody does monitoring and evaluation to make sure that the works that have been given out to be done are done in the required standards. Mr. Koech, if in any case you are given the chance to serve in this department, what are you going to address this pertinent issue of monitoring and evaluation? In the Department of Roads again, through my own experience, works are given out. The MCA is supposed to be doing oversight, but everything is left to the MCA. Whenever we ask, the reason why road inspectors are not coming to inspect the roads, we are told that there is insufficient personnel in the department. Mr. Koech, if you are given this chance to serve in that department, what are you going to do to address the shortage of inspectors in that department? Bearing in mind that our wage bill, as we are speaking now, stands at 42% instead of 35%. How are you going to balance the two? Another one. Another one. Mobility is also a big challenge in the department. We are told the reason why the inspectors are unable to move from one ward to another, one road to another. It is because of lack of vehicles. Mr. Koech, how are you going to address this issue of insufficient vehicles in the department so that your staff can be able to move out to inspect the roads? Thank you, Chairman.
Yes, the Honorable Anita.
Thank you, Chair. The nominee, Eric, I think I have 1 or 2 questions for you. First, let me congratulate you for coming this far, and especially listening to your story, where you've come from to this far. I want to say thumbs up, and I wish you all the best. Maybe 1 or 2 things, especially just looking at your experience, which majorly has been on water. Though you mentioned that as much as you're underwater, you also ensure that there is accessibility. So that again tells us that you have an idea of the roads, public works, roads and transport sector, which, and I want to believe you understand how important this department is to the welfare of this county. Because for us to move, for things to move, even for the economy to run, in terms of roads, transport, will entirely depend on your leadership. And we've seen challenges before. The department has challenges. It's not a walk on the park. And I want to believe you are up to the task, especially on the issue of fighting the pending bills issue that my colleague has mentioned. I just want to mention also, so that you can enlighten or you can share a little bit of the plans you have when we look at the issues of the stormwater management system and the drainage, which is a function that is under your department on roads and public works. Because despite the budget allocations that has been there, we still feel, because we have the Kericho, Litein towns, either there are no drainages or those that are there are not being managed. What do you think you will do differently to bring to an end the problems of poor drainages in our towns? You'll share a little bit, and just add on the same thing that goes mostly with it together will be also the street lighting. It's still in the docket that you are nominated for. And do you think the towns, I know you reside in Kericho, do you think the towns are well lit when it comes to street light? If not, what are you going to do on the same, to improve on the same? Because sometimes the areas you go and you know, it reminds you that electricity is not still out there in our homes, but then what happens even along the roads, it's so dark, and there are places that people do business, they're forced to close early because of the street lighting, and that reminds me of what is the sustainability part of it. We've seen other places that they do solar street lights, but most of what we have in Kericho are electricity. So is it something sustainable? What do you plan to do differently that we might be able to have the street lights across and make this county greater or better in business? Thank you.
Thank you so much. I want to give to Honorable Majority so that maybe from there you can attempt to respond.
Thank you very much, Chair. I would like to congratulate you for getting a chance to be nominee for Public Works. And I want to give you a scenario. If given a chance to be in charge of Public Works, and while seated in your office, you receive a call that I recently handed over a project to the county government, or a structure has collapsed, or a bridge has been swept away, and people are up in arms. In that situation, what will you do? And how are you going to respond and ensure that such kind of thing will never happen again? Again, there are projects, maybe for example roads, that are supposed to be done across the county. And while we were campaigning, we promise the youth that they are also going to benefit, especially locally. How are you going to incorporate the use of local labor, especially the youths, so that they can be able to earn from the projects that are being done in the county? Again, while undertaking the projects within the county, sometimes the projects benefits the people. But if there is a conflict that, for example, water is supposed to be drained in roads and it's going to maybe some people's lands, or maybe it's causing more harm, what will you do so that you can be able to ensure that you implement the projects without much conflict? Thank you.
Okay, Honorable Rogon, I hope, Eng.Erick, you are noting them down, and I know you are still a young man, so you can be able to respond to them. Yeah.
Thank you, Chairman. Once again, Eng.Erick, congratulations for making it this far. I want to ask you very briefly, around 3 questions. One, are you aware there are some plants and machines that were handed over to this county by the Transitional Authority at the inception of devolution? These machines should be, helping the county reduce on costs, especially in maintenance of these roads. I don't know whether you've researched. You can report to this committee if you have exact number, and whether it's a grader, a dozer, you can tell us. Maybe we'll ask something else later. Number 2, roads in this county have been done poorly. One, and you're aware, because we also come from the villages, there are roads that have been graded, marramed, not to the standard, but not compacted. Drainages are not done. What do you intend to do with such roads? Because we'll be maintaining them even before they are handed over to the county. And then number 3, in this county we have roads that leads to nowhere. There are roads that are supposed to be linked by a bridge or a box culvert. But shockingly, those roads are done. They are certified by the county, yet, they cannot be used, because where there is no bridge, definitely that road cannot be used. I don't know, you can cite some examples if you know them, and I invite you to tell this committee what you intend to do. Lastly, second last, I know you'll be in charge of transport should this committee endorse you and subsequently sworn in as the CEC. What plans do you have to ensure that the vehicles under your docket are not misused? Because we need staff supervise projects or undertake anything that is assigned to by the county, but sometimes we do not have mobility. They don't have vehicles. Should we have enough vehicles? Tell us the measures that you intend to put in place to ensure that these vehicles are not misused. Then lastly, we have a number of ECD centers, let me say so. ECD centers that have been condemned even before they are handed over to the county. Who do you think is to blame in such cases? Thank you.
The Honorable Paul.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Once again, congratulations, Engineer, on being nominated to the Department of Roads, Transport and Public Works. Indeed, you're a product of bottom-up, rising from nowhere, and you're surely heading to somewhere. You and the President almost share the same story, that a school in the village, where I myself also was there, can produce an engineer. So indeed, it is a lesson to the youth that they can also rise from wherever they are and make it to wherever they are headed. Now, if this committee approves you to be the CEC for roads, and I want to give you an example. If today there is a funeral, for example, in Soin, an area where there is no road, and the governor is expected to be there, and maybe even the president, what method of procurement will you use, for example, to maram a section of the road that needs maraming, grade, gravel, and compact? What method of procurement will you use to make sure that in the shortest time possible, you will have done or you'll have made the road accessible for use by members of the public and the VIPs who are attending that function? That's number one. Number two, framework contracting is a method of procurement. Would you support the use of framework contracts in road construction, and maintenance? Number three, walking around town, I am sure you've seen sections of the road, like the section that is between Green Square Mall and Shell gas station, where there is a section that has openings, or the place is not covered, endangering the lives of road users. What will you do as an engineer to address such sections of the road and many other places in Kericho? Number three, some of the roads, for example, in Finlays, there is a public road that is designed, approved, and is meant for use by the public. But a private investor, for example, Finlays, has blocked the use of the road by the public. What will you do to allow the public to use their road? Because the intention of the road is public road. What will you do to allow members of the public to use their road? Thank you.
Honorable Maritim.
Thank you, Chair. Eric, this Honorable House, in their reports, have time and again recommended for the blacklisting of companies that have been known to be doing poor contractual work. Yet no action has been taken against such companies, since they are still winning contracts and continue siphoning taxpayers' money. How differently will you handle this matter? Second, the public procurement and disposal regulation provide for a mode of procurement that gives the community a chance to maintain and construct roads. If given a chance, are you planning to adopt the same as a way of empowering the communities in Kericho? Thank you.
Honorable Debate.
Thank you, Chair. Let me take this opportunity to congratulate the nominee for being nominated by His Excellency to appear before this vetting committee. You are a true definition of bottom-up, and I am happy because you never gave up in life. Your story is almost the same as my story, Chairman. I think I want to say that, because we went to...
And I hope including the family.
Almost. I'll say that, Chairman. I was saying that I also went to a primary school like you went. I scored almost 405 marks. Personally, I was called as the Boys and Center, but by that time, I never got an opportunity because my letter was taken somewhere around before I got the letter. Then I proceeded to just a neighboring Harambee school, and I got an opportunity to join the University of Nairobi. I graduated the same year, 2012, but I was given an opportunity by the people by Namoi to represent them from 2012 up to now. I know the committee, if it sees that you are fit to hold this position, and then I know you are star as of the reason also. Chairman, even the family chairman, you know I'm a family man, Chairman. And the reason why I was laughing when you were talking about the family issue is because the nominee has the family there. You know, Chairman, I was telling you, during your swearing in, I never saw your family chairman. So I was asking whether you have the family chairman, because you know, you met my family when I was being sworn in. So I want to thank the nominee because you came with your entire family here. So, Chairman, that is a story of another day. We will still discuss. Back to this vetting exercise, I just want to ask the nominee the position that he had applied to, because I heard there was an interview. Which position were you interviewed? Thirdly, going by your CV and your explanation, you've always been working under the water department. You worked at Kewasco. You also had some work at Water Sector Trust Fund and the Sana International that you work in Kisumu, implementing the wash projects in Nyando district by then. I was seeing the only time that you were engaged in maybe road construction was when you were doing some access roads to where you had water projects. The County Government Act Section 35 Part 3 requires that a county executive member in charge of, a county executive member must have experience, unquestionable experience, knowledge, and distinguished career of not less than 5 years in the portfolio or the areas relevant to the portfolio in which that nominee has been placed. So my question is, can you kindly relate the experience that you've had in the Department of Roads that exceeds the 5 years? Number 3 is that we've been having a lot of challenges. I know you are a resident of this county. I want to just comment on the issue of the bending bill. There is a road that was built in the year 2015-2016 financial year. That road was done by the contractor. The road was not paid because there was no documentation, but the road was done. Now, when you visit such a road, it has been washed by rainwater. As the CEC in charge of roads, public works and transport, if this committee, in the likely event that you are given a green light by this committee, what are you going to do? Here is a contractor, did work in 2015-16. It wasn't his or making because there was no documentation, but did a good work. But now, he wasn't paid, no documentation, but work was done. There is no road because it has been washed by rainwater. What are you going to solve such issues, because they are common in our county? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, honorable members. Eng.Erick, Koech, I know those engagements, you have noted them down. Just try to be brief and direct to the point. Maybe you can respond, and then honorable members, we allow him to respond, and then the rejoinders can come in after all the responses. Thank you. Proceed.
Thank you, Chair. So let me start with Mheshimiwa Dominic from Kabianga Ward. And I will try to also one of the questions that he has asked about pending bills to what Mheshimiwa Cheruya Beth from Ainamo has talked about. So on matters pending bills, I know it's a challenge that is cutting across several counties of our country. I made to understand that majority of these are pending bills came about because of a number of issues or challenges. One being that some projects, because at the end of any financial year, there could be projects that are ongoing, and you need to close the financial year. So that gave rise to pending bills. Number two, shortage in terms of local revenue collection. So the plans that I have, if I'm given the chance to serve in this position, one, I'll ensure that all tendering and procurement processes are adhered to. No work should be done without proper documentation, and any contractor that is engaged should have proper documentation and contracts. That is one of my plans in trying to manage pending bills. I think that also addresses the aspect of contractors or people who have done some work and yet there were no documentation. But I believe going forward we can deal with this issue by sticking to the law. On the issue of our road network for Kericho County. Kericho County is very vast and expansive. My immediate plans, if I'm approved by this honorable committee, one, we need to map our road network as a county. Number two, we need to digitize our road network so that in your office, the honorable member, at the click of your button, you can be able to tell the status of a particular road, the length, and maybe what plans you need for that particular road. So that is one of my plans. Number two, tied to Mheshimiwa Ruto, the issue of monitoring and evaluation of the projects. One principle of managing projects well is the aspect of monitoring and evaluation. The department needs to have a robust monitoring and evaluation unit. I made also to understand while I was preparing for this vetting that there was a monitoring and evaluation policy that was presented, but it's yet to be approved and activated. But as the CEC, I'll follow up on this issue and ensure that there is close monitoring and evaluation for the County of Kericho government to get value for money. We must get good roads, and this is a product of close supervision, monitoring and evaluation. The challenges of insufficient or shortage of personnel and mobility. Yes, I acknowledge that as a county there is a big problem in terms of personnel, and for the record, I'm made to understand that there are no surveyors in the Department of Public Works, Roads and Transport. The aspect of surveying is very critical in the sense that there is no way you can do any road without designing, and also during quality control you have to have surveyors. The same also relates to quantity surveyors. I made to understand that the department doesn't have quantity surveyors. There are no technicians to do material testing, and this affects the quality of our roads and even county public buildings. If I'm given the green light by this honorable committee, we need to have this key personnel, especially surveyors, engineering surveyors, and as well as quantity surveyors, and also on the aspect of material testing technicians. We must be able to test the materials that we use to construct and also to build our structures. The same applies to the issue of mobility. There is no way we expect our personnel to be in close contact with the projects if they are not facilitated well enough. So in this the aspect of vehicles as a county, I'll invite this honorable committee and the relevant house committees to help us in budgetary allocation, to ensure that the issue of staff and mobility is well addressed. There was this question by Honorable Anita, and before I proceed, let me congratulate Mheshimiwa Anita for being the first or the only woman who was elected as the member of County Assembly. Congratulations, Mheshimiwa. Now, on the issue of stormwater drainage issues, which also Mheshimiwa Dominic has alluded to, is the issue of stormwater drainage in our towns and our market centers. Yes, I acknowledge that this is a challenge. I went through the CFSP and some of the reports from the department, and one gray area that I noticed was the issue of we are not allocating, the department has not been allocating funds, especially in our urban areas, to address the issue of stormwater drainage. There's the aspect of open drains or along the highway. So you realize that, especially this A1 road, or some sections have had their covers either damaged or have been vandalized. If I'm given this opportunity, I'll be working closely with my counterparts in the national scene, especially the Kenya, the Kura bodies. Mheshimiwa Anita also talked about the issue of street lights in our urban centers and markets. It's good that you picked this issue. I'm proposing, if I'm approved by this committee, if we can solarize our street lights, because they are sustainable, their operations and maintenance is low, and in the long run they can be managed very well by the county government. Mheshimiwa, the majority leader talked about aspects of a project, either collapsing or developing a defect after maybe that's been handed over. So during contract management, there's the aspect of defects liability period. And I believe if a project develops a defect within that period, the contractor is bound contractually to undertake the repairs. But in the unfortunate event that the contractor period is over, now as a county, we need to engage all the stakeholders and address this issue. The department, the county assembly, as well as the relevant departments. There is the issue of employing our youths, which has been very one of the centerpiece of the Kenya Kwanza government. So I'm proposing that as a county, we need to come up with a routine maintenance policy, in which an aspect of engaging the local community, the local youth, whereby they can be procured to maintain a particular section of a road over a period of time. And in this way, we can have roads that can last longer, and we have also addressed the issue of unemployment. The issue that the majority leader also has talked about, conflicts during either road construction or even after a project has been completed. So I believe in stakeholder engagement, bringing on board all the necessary stakeholders, the member of county assembly and the local community, and the personnel of the department during the planning as well as the design, so that we can be able to mitigate and avoid issues of conflicts, especially water, maybe stormwater draining into somebody's land. But in the unfortunate event that such a scenario arises, the technical personnel of the department needs to address this. I believe that an engineering solution can be brought on board, either drainage circuits, culverts can be done. Moving on, there were these issues that had been raised by Mheshimiwa Rawany, the issue of machinery and equipment that the department has. I'm made to understand that the Department of Public Works, Roads and Transport, as a county, has only 2 graders and 2 tippers and 1 backhoe. I'm made also to understand that these are fairly in good conditions and they are functional. As a department, we can see a mechanism of utilizing this machinery so that we can reduce the cost and also increase service delivery in terms of infrastructural development. The issue of some of the roads not being done to the standards, I've already talked about close supervision and a strong monitoring and evaluation mechanism in the department. Roads leading to nowhere. So I believe in the concept of consultation. If we can have various stakeholders, let's say for example an MCA from this ward, and his road is a road is being done and is supposed to cross to the other ward, the 2 MCAs can reach an agreement that they can consult and in close communication with the department, and can do a project that is wholesome, not a part project. There's the issue of ECD centers. At times, there can be aspects of a building collapsing. Sorry. I believe the responsibility should first start with the person who was in supervising and in charge of that project, and it should bear personal responsibility. Number 2, as a department, we'll ensure that we do close supervision, and also we monitor we make approvals before these projects are constructed. Mheshimiwa Paul Chirchir has asked about what kind of procurement method can be used in case of emergencies. So I believe under the PPAD 2015, there are various methods of procurement, and it's my opinion that one of the methods that can that has the advantage of less procurement time is the framework contracting. So in case or in instances where there is an emergency, the county government has been given or is legally there's a provision that they can do any method of procurement. Mheshimiwa Paul Chirchir also has invited me to give my opinion or my observation on framework contracting. I believe there are several advantages of framework contracting, of which I've stated one: the issue of less procurement time and also less repetitive work over time. So this method is good if it is well implemented, and you stick by the rule of law, and you stick by the Public Procurement and Disposal Act of 2015. Mheshimiwa has talked about blacklisting of some of the contractors. If given this chance, I want to believe that I'll stick to the rule of law. If a firm has been blacklisted, and it should not be doing any work with the government. So I believe we should adhere to the rule of law. Lastly, Mheshimiwa Jeriat Pet asked me to relate my career and maybe my experience to the docket that I've been nominated to. Mheshimiwa, through the chair. So while undertaking my undergraduate course, for the first 2 years, or rather 3 years, we did similar courses with the people who are doing civil or structural. You see that water engineering is a subset of the main civil engineering. So you find that we had similar courses in the first 3 years. If I can enumerate some of the courses that we did together that are very relevant to the position that I've been appointed to. One, there's a course on foundations engineering. Number 2, there's a course on surveying. Number 3, there's the aspect of which is very critical in road construction or any structural work, the course on soil mechanics. I also did a course on project management, environmental impact assessment, workshop processes and practice, engineering materials, as well as hydraulics. So these courses are core in any, whether you are a roads engineer, water engineer, or a structural engineer. If I may talk about water supply, any water supply project, the aspect of buildings and structures within any water supply project. I believe this honorable committee has appreciated that we have a new water treatment plant at Kimugu. So there's the aspect of public works right there. There's the aspect of civil works and also roads. So I believe, having interacted with several water and sanitation projects, I have had a career that touches on roads, public works, as well as water. I had applied for the position of roads, public works, and transport, as well as water. I can avail the application form for your scrutiny. Mr. Chair, at first I was not called for the interview. Yes, but later on, after some interaction with the governor, I was later called for an interview, and I was interviewed. So thank you, Chair.
All right, thank you very much, Eng.Erick. And I also want to maybe just to highlight that stormwater drainage is in the Department of course they share it with the public works, roads and transport. Also there is a component in lands. Engineering really cuts across all the departments. And I think the experience, mainly the one for the Kewasco, I'm told it is a huge project, can be really, if that can really be attributed to you, and we can see what is happening right now, then should you really be nominated, then we believe that you can apply the skills and maybe the practicals component that you have acquired from that. And honorable members, because of our time, there is no supplementary questions. Just no supplement. Honorable members, we agree that we only take 2. So
Yeah.
one from Cheriotbet.
Yes.
And one from Rogony.
Thank you, Chair.
Yeah.
We are very loyal, Chair. So I just want to know what could be the reason why you were never called by the interviewing panel in the first instance when you applied, and yet you had we've seen your testimonials, you had the required qualification for you to be called for the interview. What could be the reason?
Yes, Rogony.
Thank you, Chair. You talked about defects liability period. I wish to know this period. The number two, why I'm Chairman, why I'm insisting on this is because I can cite 5 projects. One is even the one that has not been handed over, Kapkego ECD. It is new. The contractor has locked the place, but the building cracked all over. Such a project, according to you, what do we do with it? Thank you.
Thank you so much. The nominee, Eric, maybe as you respond to those last two, I think the most important thing to note is that there are things that may be beyond the nominee, like why were you not called for an interview? You will leave that one for the appointment committee to why did they choose to call you after others have done the interviews? So the Honorable Cheriotbet, the committee on appointment will deal with that fact, because the nominee is here, he was called for an interview. So the reason why he was not called for an interview on some particular dates, I know is beyond his comprehension. So maybe you can attempt to respond to the one from Honorable Rogan.
Yes.
Please.
Thank you, Chair, for coming to my risk. But still, I'll attribute this to divine intervention. I call it God's grace.
Yeah, and I want to, I think you did mention earlier, or I don't know whether you mentioned whether your wife is a prayerful wife. So perhaps the divine intervention should have only originated from her. We want to believe so. I respond to the one from Robin.
Okay, thank you, Chair. On the issue of defect liability period, I want to believe that all the contracts that are being undertaken by the Department of Roads, they have that clause on defect liability period to cater for the risk of a defect developing before you can fully utilize a project. So in instances of structural or buildings, you usually give a period of maybe 4 to 6 months. And if a defect develops within that period, you are duty bound as a client to obligate the contractor to rectify the defect before the final takeover of that project. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much. So, honorable members, final word to the nominee, Honorable Anthony Ruta. Please. Final word, just 30 seconds each.
Engineer Koech, I want to wish you the best, my brother.
Engineer Eric, I want to wish you well. Thank you.
Eng.Erick, I will also want to wish you well and thank you for the patience in answering the questions. Thank you.
Chair, thanks to the nominee, and I wish you well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Engineer Eric, we wish you the very best in your future endeavors. Thank you.
Engineer Eric, success.
Engineer Eric, I wish you well in your tour of duty at the county executive.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Asante sana bwana engineer. Looking at our time, I think maybe I give you a minute if you have any words to for the committee on appointment. Just a minute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Let me take this opportunity to appreciate the work that the appointment committee is doing. I pray that God give you grace and give you wisdom as you deliberate on this process. Thank you very much. God bless you.
So thank you so much, Engineer Eric Koech. It has been a pleasure, of course, interacting with you. I also want to take this opportunity to wish you all the best and continue praying without ceasing, if possible. You can fast, and then of course you talked about divine intervention. So, but we are really grateful for the interaction that we have had together. It has been an insightful one, and at this point in time I want to request the Sergeant at Arms to please escort the nominee. He is our special guest today. If lunch is not ready, ensure that he gets lunch, because I'm told he is, or if possible, a clerk to organize for a mode of transport so that he cannot track again. I think that will be in order.
Thank you.
And he should ride with his wife, please, if possible. Thank you so much, One Engineer, and God bless you, and we hope to see you in future.
Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable members, we will continue. Please bring the next nominee. Yes.